Okay, guys, so our topic today is about the communication and the information technology. Okay, so let's get started. Let's have some introduction about the communication and the information technology. The importance of the communication is in the organization cannot be overemphasized. The communication in any company or any organization is a vital cycle in the product cycle for any company, because if there is not a proper and correct communication being cycled in the company, that means there must be some misunderstanding and there must be some misleading for any information, and this misleading will affect eventually with the product cycle. So the managers here must be able to have the effectively communication in order to achieve the organizational goals. So that the communication must be in accordingly efficient and effective to achieve at the end of the organizational goals. So how effective the communication is depends on many elements that we will discuss in this topic. So here the communication is the transfer and understanding of the meaning. So basically the communication elements is divided into these parts. The first part, which is the meaning of the communication, the meaning of the message, the meaning of the talk, which means if there is no informal, if no information or ideas has been conveyed, the communication has not taken place. So the information must be conveyed. The information must be conveyed. The information must be delivered properly in order for us to have the effective and efficient communication and conversation and leading for the product final. So for the communication to be successful, the meaning must be imparted and understood. In order for us to have the successful communication among, whether this communication is among the staff or whether this communication is among the people itself or whether this communication among the customers. So in this case, the meaning, which is the essential part, of the communication, must be understood and must be imparted. Okay. So what is the importance of communication? What is the importance of communication? Why actually the communication is important? Communication is important to managers and organizations because of the reasons below. The communication here is important. Why? Because it is controlling. It acts to control the employee behavior. So if we do not have the proper communication occurring between the employees, we cannot control them. So there must be a way of controlling. So this communication can be implemented or can be this communication can be implemented through the controlling. So we can make it as a ground, as a email addresses, as an email addresses. So the email among the staff, so there must be official emails. There must be an official emails among the organization that can control the behavioral of the staff, can control the actions, the daily work among the staff. Okay, guys, so the motivation also, one of the important elements of the communication is the motivation. It is encourage the motivation by clarifying to employees to what to be done. So when we have a proper communication and when we have a proper understanding of the communication and when our communication is effective and efficient, that means the staff will not have any ambiguity. The staff will not have any confusion. So here the staff will be motivated, will be esteemed, will be motivated and esteemed and encouraged. So, the emotional expression by which members share frustrations and feelings of the satisfaction. So, the emotional expression here means having among the members and share the frustration and feelings of the satisfaction. So, if the staff members are satisfied, then we will have some emotional expression. The staff among themselves, they will start to express and will start to express their feelings to each other in a proper way. In a proper way. Information. The individuals and groups need information to get things done. One of the most important address or one of the most important elements of the communication must be the information. The information here is a vital part of any communication because the communication start normally with the data, and the data then can be moved and can be delivered as the information, and then we will process this data and information, and we will end up with the outcome with the outcome. There are several elements of the communication process. There are several elements of the communication process. The communication source. The communication source. The communication source. The message, the channel, and the receiver. So as I've told you before, the communication process start with the message. Start with the message, and then we will have the channel that the communication will go through it. We will have the channel that the communication go through it. So the message could be a email. Okay, could be a person who write an email. This could be the message. The channel could be an email itself, the email address, the email system. And the receiver could be a person who will receive your email, like a postgraduate, like admission, like the visa department. They will receive your email and then they will process, and then they will process. So the entire process here is also compatible or subject to be in a noise or to be interfered with the transmission, receive, and the feedback of the message. So here our message could be a matter to ambiguity, could be a matter could be a subject to noise, could be a subject to interruptness. So anyone could interrupt us and give us the feedback of the messages. So the communication source. The first part of the communicational process start with the communicational source. So the sender initiate a message by encoding a thought. So the sender initiate a message by encoding a thought. So the message must have a thought, must have the idea, must have the objective, must have the purpose. There must be a purpose of sending an email to others. So the sender here could be an individual, could be a group, could be an organization to accomplish a communication goal. So the sender could be an individual, and this individual could be a group, and also could be an organization. There might be a messages sent by the name of the university, the whole name of the university, the whole members of media members. They are clarifying some points to the Ministry of Education. So this is one kind of a organizational message. So this could be an MCQ for you in your final. Media is sending an email to this one could be a organizational source of communication. Four conditions influence the effectiveness of the encoded messages: the skills, the attitudes, the knowledge of the sender, and the social cultural system. Of course, when we want to send a message, we need to be aware of four elements. The first element, which is the most effective and eventual and the most essential part of any message, is the skills. If the sender does not have the proper skills of sending the email, that means the message will be invade. And the message will be delivered in improper objectives. Okay, so there will be a misleading of the messages. Okay, so the attitudes also play a good part. The knowledge of the sender, and the knowledge you are sending, you are requesting for your admission knowledge. So you need to know about the admission fees. You need to know what's the procedure for the visa. You need to know what. So you need to have the knowledge. You need to have the knowledge on when you want to send an email. The social cultural system. Of course, we cannot be misunderstood by the culture. The culture of any. If you are here in Malaysia, you are trying to send an email to an official body of the government. You need to be aware of the cultural. You need to be aware. So when you want to start your email, you need to start with in general, when you want to start the communication, you need to start with the salam, with the greeting, that belong to the certain and particular culture. Okay, so please don't miss the cultural. The cultural system must be understood and must be taken into consideration when you want to communicate with the official body. So the second part of the communication is the message. The message could be a written document, could be an email. Okay, the message could be an email. The message could be oral speech. The message could be delivered by orally. Okay, could be by verbally, no writing. Okay, even gesture. A message could be a gesture, using your hands. You are saying salam, you are saying hi to anybody. You don't have to say hi in your mouth, using your tongue. You can just simply raise your hand raise your hand. That means you are using your gesture language. Gesture language. The facial expression also, including of the facial. The facial could be also in your body language. So the effective communication depends on the message that are clear and complete as possible. So face-to-face conversation, an email message, or a letter. The noise could be also, as we have seen in the source of the email, the noise could be a distort to the communication process in any of these areas. So the receiver, let's go to the another part. The receiver is the individual to whom the message is directed. The receiver is the individual to whom the message is directed. So the receiver, of course, when you want to send a message, you need to have a receiver. You need to have the people who will respond. You need to have the responses. You need to, if you are trying to do your let's say a research, you want to conduct a research, you want to send your surveys, there must be a receiver. Okay, there must be a receiver. There must be a people, a group, organization, individual. There must be a company that you are sending the message to. So before the message could be delivered or received, however, the symbols here in it must be translated into a form that the receiver can understand. You cannot just send an email or an information without having the proper language. The symbols you are using must be cleared and understood by the other party. So in order for you to have a less ambiguity and confusion in the future, and then the feedback also will be much appreciated and understood. The final link in the communication process here is the feedback loop. So the feedback here will give you evaluation. Actually, the feedback is evaluation. Is the evaluation of your performance. So you need to have a feedback. You need to have an evaluation report. In anything we do in this life, we have the evaluation at the end. If you are studying, at the end, the lecturer will evaluate your performance. Okay, so it same goes with the message. So evaluating the communication methods. Managers can use the 12 questions to help to evaluate the various communication methods. There are a lot of evaluation questions. You can use them to evaluate your performance. The feedback that we just now explained, the complexity, capacity, how much capable you are to do your performance, okay, to do your evaluation report. So the breadth of the extent potential, how many different messages could be transmitted using this method. The The confidentially, can the communicators be reasonably sure that their messages are received only by those intended people? So the encoding is here could be the sender easily and quickly use this channel. Decoding is could be the receiver easily and quickly decode the message. Decode means you send the message with a certain or particular code, and you know that the receiver will receive your email and being able to decode your message in a proper way that has been approved among the each other. Evaluating the communication method. Here we have also the time-space constraint. Do the sender and receivers need to communicate at the same time and in the same space? The cost also of the message, the interpersonal warmth and feeling, the formality of the message could be also the basic element of the any messages. You need to follow the formal cultural procedure that is being used in a certain company. You cannot just be informal while sending and messages and communicate with your boss or communicate with your managers or communicate with your HOD. Also, the scannability. You need to scan for the relevant information. The time of conception. The time of conception means how much time are you going to spend? How much time are you going to spend writing the communicational method? Writing your communicational method. Non-verbal communication is communication transmitted without words. Two best known types: body language. This refers to gesture, facial expressions, and the other body movement that convey means. The verbal intonation, loud and soft. Filtering it is the deliberate manipulation of information to make it appear more favorable to the receiver. So here the filtration, it works as the manipulating. It could be a manipulating part in sending and transmitting the information. The emotions could sometimes when we communicate with each other, we put much effort on our emotion that using our brain. So the communication here could be manipulated by our emotions, and that should not be. Information overload. So the information overload could be a major problem when you want to talk to each other, or when you want to talk or when you want to send an email to an official body. You need to have your information simplified. You need to have your information simple. You need to always try to send an email with the purpose, introduction, and then the body, the content, and the conclusion. Do not overload with your information. Just try to send the most essential and needed information. Okay, don't overload with your information to people. The defensiveness means when people feel that they are being threatened, so you will have some defend among the people. Language words here means different things to different people. The words here means the national cultural also play a role with the transmitting the information. There are some barriers to the effective communication. To overcome barriers, we need to use some certain procedures. The first one is use the feedback, and either verbally or non-verbally. So you need to use your feedback, whether it is verbally, you talk to others by using your own mother language, or non-verbally by using the other ways of the gesture and language body. You need to listen actively, and you need to constrain your emotions. You need not to add and let your emotion to be interrupted in your communication. Watch nonverbal cues to ensure that the desired message is being conveyed. The formal communication, it refers to a communication that follows the official chain of command. The informal communication, it refers to the organization communication that is not defined by the organizational structural hierarchy. It permits the employees to satisfy their needs for the social interactions. It also can improve the organization's performance. There are four directions of the organizational communication flow: downward and upward. Downward means any communication that flows downward from the manager to employees. This kind of communication, we call it downward. The upward means any communication that flows upward from employees to managers. This is what we call it upward. Literally, any communication that takes place among the employee. That diagonally, any communication that cuts across the both work areas and organizational levels. There are three types of the common communication networks. Chain network communication here flow according to the formal chain of command, both downward and upward. The wheel network here means that the communication flowing between the clearly identifiable and strong leader and others in a word group or team. All channel network means the communication here flows freely among all members of the work team. The direction of communication. If the manager is concerned with high member satisfaction, that means the whole channel network is the best. If having a strong and identifiable leader is important, the way here facilitate this purpose of the identifiable leader. So here we will have the strong effort and effect on the communication. But if the accuracy is most important, then the shan and wheel here in this case works best. The grapevine. What is the grapevine? Is the informal organizational communication network, and it is effective and active is almost every organization. It acts as both a filter and feedback of the mechanism, picking up on the issues employees consider relevant. So the technology, and more specifically the information technology, has radically changed the way that the organizational members communicate. The network computer systems, it's the network computer system, it's the organization's links to its computers, creating the organizational network. Some of the communication application is being used, such as the email. You could go now and find any other companies that are not using the email, which would be impossible and a unique. The instant messaging, the IM, is the a small application installed in the computer of the installed in the staff computers. Allow the it could be the under the Microsoft. It could be under the Microsoft. It's called the link Microsoft Office. It could be a link that could be easy to ease the communication among the staff. The blog is the online journal that is usually focused on a particular subject. Wiki is a type of website that allows anyone visiting and to add or remove or otherwise even to edit the content. Electronic data exchange. For organizations to exchange the standard business transaction documents. What is the teleconferencing? It's a group of people simultaneously using the telephone or email group communication software. What is the wireless capabilities? It depends here on the signal sent through the air or space without the need for the wired connection by using the microwave signals or satellites or even radio waves and radio antennas or infrared light rays. Managers are learning that the a new technology has created a special communication challenges. It must be the legal and security issues. The managers need to be aware of the potential legal problems from the inappropriate email usage, the lack of personal interaction. When the communication takes place in in a virtual environment, it can be really hard to achieve the understanding and cooperate on getting work done. So the managers here need to take it easy for employees to communicate and share their knowledge so they can learn from each other ways to do their jobs more effectively and in an efficient way. One way of doing things by build online information database that the employees can access. The best way of communication is having the database that is shared among the staff, and this could be ease the work of the employees and staff. The organizations with a strong service culture values taking care of the customers. Here we can find that the what their needs are and meeting these needs and follow up to make sure that all these needs have been met satisfactorily. So we need to have a system that support the overall of the customer needs, and we need to make sure that these needs have been accomplished satisfactorily. So this is a special skills for choosing the right term of the right time. How you communicate with someone who's not like you what terms you use in the addressing a female or customer, what words are you using to describe a colleague who's wheelchair bound, can mean that the difference between losing a client. So the employee here is a lawsuit, a harassment claim, or could be a normal job. The conclusion, we can conclude that everyone is able to communicate. Everyone is able to communicate, but there are many challenges to having the effective one. Everyone can send an email, everyone can communicate with his boss and HOD. But the problem is when you have a matter, when you have a problem, when you have something to ask, when you have something to negotiate and tell, you need to have the proper communication. You need to have the proper time. You need to have the proper challenge. You need to have the proper way of transmitting your information. You need to have the proper people targeting your you need to target well the people that you are sending to. In this case, your in this case, your email or your communication with your boss or your manager would be effective and efficient. Thank you very much and see you in next class.